A lot of thousand-year-old customs were changed in this Holy Week, but it was done, everyone says, rapidly. There was haste. They were being pressured by many bishops, especially in France and Germany. I think it was mostly Germany, who were pushing for this. They said that it wasn't applying to the people anymore, whatever else. But they kept fighting for these things to happen. So that the abuses wouldn't take place, they felt compelled to do everything quickly. Now, if you think about it, that's the same thing they did with Eucharistic communion in the hand. There was abuses that were taking place. This is what Paul VI wrote. So we will allow communion in the hand to eliminate the abuses. That was just kind of the way they thought back then. I'm not sure what else to say about it. Good Friday novelty. So the color, they're changing colors all the time. They have to keep changing vestments to different colors. The Passion changed. Obviously, they eliminated the gospel. Adoration of the cross changed. We just explained it. The altar doesn't have a cross. That's strange. The procession becomes simple. It's no longer triumphant Eucharistic, but quiet and reserved. The use of the deacon replaces the priest in going to get the Blessed Sacrament and other things. Holy Saturday, blessing. Now we're blessing the candle outside. Now remember, the candle before was so big, it stayed inside, and you just brought fire to it. So now we're blessing the candle outside, walking around with the candle, and Lumen Christi, which really isn't a big problem, but it creates other problems later. Now we have a candle in the center of the sanctuary. We're walking around the candle, incensing it. Why are we walking around the candle, incensing it? Nobody knows. Now we're singing the Exultet, which was the blessing of the candle. Now, we'll get to it, but in the Exultet, when you read, when they're singing, we always wonder, it's beautiful, we love the Exultet. But if you think about it, the whole purpose of these reforms is to eliminate anything that is superfluous, meaning it doesn't have a purpose. But there's a few things, what they did was they eliminated the purpose and left something superfluous. So now the Exultet was the blessing of the candle. He sings, stops, lights the candle. He sings, stops, puts in the incense. He sings, stops, lights the other lamp. These are the things that are happening during the Exultet. It is a consecratory prayer. Some people have argued that it's not really a prayer. It's not really a blessing of the candle. But the rubric says that the deacon blesses the candle. So I don't know. The missal used to be considered authoritative. So I take it from that principle liturgically. But so the Exultet, now you have a candle there in the middle. You walk around, you incense it. You're not sure why you're doing it. And then you face it and you sing the Exultet. And then you're done. But they didn't explain why you're doing it that way. They just decided to do it that way. Now, there's 12 prophecies in the Old Holy Week. Now they put 4. The new one, they put 4. Why they put 4? We don't know. They just put 4. And then a couple years later, they did the Paul VI. They put 6. Now we have 6. Now that, at least liturgically, that was a Roman custom a long time ago. They had 6 readings. So at least that went back to an old Roman custom, whereas the 4, nobody knows. It just did 4. All right, 4. So they corrected that in the Paul VI Missal. Renewal of baptismal promise. So in Holy Saturday, you stop after the prophecies, you turn to the people, and you renew their baptismal promise. I forget the wording that they use, but it's in Latin. It's a bit fun. But then you do the Our Father with everybody in the vernacular. So now we're at a traditional liturgy, and you're standing there in front of everybody. Our Father, who art... We did it once, and there was 2 people there at the liturgy. Middle of the night. You're in the middle of the night. Nobody's going to Mass in the middle of the night. So there was 2, and I don't even think they were Catholic. I don't know. They were in Italy. They walked in. They sat in the very last pew. I don't know what they were doing there. And we were having this grand liturgy. It was the only time I've ever done the 55 liturgy. It was the first time. It was 2009. We were first using the liturgy. And we were there at a cloistered group of nuns and whatever. But they left the door open. So these people came in. So we had to turn and do this rite. And there's nobody there. And they wouldn't even look at us. They could care less what was going on. I don't know why they were there. Maybe they were just up late. But it's just strange. You turn to them, you start talking to the people, and the people aren't there. Because you're told by the rubrics, turn and do this. Well, anyways, that's it. The renewal baptismal promise and the Our Father in the vernacular. Baptismal font, I don't understand this one fully, but it seems like the meaning got changed. You'll have to read that article to figure it out. But he refers to it in the conclusion. But now you don't go to the baptismal font. There's no procession to the baptismal font to bless it. Because remember, you weren't blessing the baptismal font, you're blessing the water. But it's such a sacred consecration of this water that it blesses the font. That's why they call it the blessing of the baptismal font. But now you put a table in front of the altar. And you got bowls of water there, and you face the people, and you bless the water in front of the people. I forgot to say also on Palm Sunday, it's the very first time in the new Holy Week where we see a table is to be set in front of the altar towards the people to bless the palms. First time we ever see that, this facing the people, and a table in the sanctuary facing the people. So back to Saturday, finishing up Saturday, and then after the baptismal promise, before we bless the water, you say half of the litany. So you say half of the litany of the saints, and you stop. Then you bless the water. Then you say the second half of the litany. Why are you breaking the litany in half? That has never, ever happened in the Roman Rite. Nobody's ever broken a litany. You'll stop the litany and do something else. And then you do it. You do it in ordinations because the bishop stands up, and he stands up and says the words. He says words that are of the formal words of the consecrating of that priest or that deacon. He has consecratory words that happen in the middle, and then he kneels back down and keeps going. So those words are part of the litany. So, table before the litany is broken up. And then the Mass is pretty much the same, except because it's so late at night, you do lauds for the next day, which isn't a problem. I mean, it's probably a magnificent way to finish it off. And that's what we'll be doing here this year. We'll be doing lauds, because to do Vespers at 1 o'clock in the morning, you don't do Vespers at 1 o'clock in the morning, you do lauds.